Hi, Liz.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, is that Liz?
Yeah, hi.
Welcome.
I'm trying to
Welcome.
figure out my camera. Start video. There we are. Hi,
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. It's
Good
great
to
to
see
see
you.
you. Hi, Denny.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hi, Liz. I'm Peggy. It's nice to meet you.
Peggy. Nice to meet you.
So glad to have you on the committee.
Excellent. I'm very
Heard
happy.
great things about you.
Uh-oh.
There's
Did you
Fred.
get the handbook?
I did. That's great. I can't wait to take a look at that.
Yeah, and the for the maps, unfortunately, one of our previous members lost his book of maps. So I'll have to
How can you
copy
lose
one
it?
for you, but I'll get you one within the next week or so.
I would suggest that you rely on the town website because they're more current.
Oh,
And you can find anything you want on the assessors
okay.
section.
Okay, perfect.
Got you off a job, Bruce.
What's that?
I got you off a job.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. Okay.
Hello, John.
Hello. Good to see everyone.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Hey, John.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
It's Tom and Liz, and I think they're Tom and Lynn, and I think they're both coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Hi,
Tom
Denny.
was an eager beaver and tried to log in early.
Yeah, I saw that. Where are you working now, Liz?
I'm still working in Colorado every day.
Get out of here. So
Yeah.
you're
The
on Zoom?
commute.
Yeah, the commutes every day.
Flying back and forth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the great thing is that with, the joys of the past few years, telecommuting is now a pretty mainstream thing. And
Right.
the job I was in Colorado, when we moved back, they'd eliminated the position and a few other positions too. But when they reinstated it, they called me and asked me if I wanted my job back at 100% remote. So I do that unless I'm in Colorado. So Randy and I go back and forth. And if I work in the office, then I'm there. And if I'm not in the office, I work in this office.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, is he working here?
Yes. Well, he's
Yeah.
working here and there.
Oh, man.
Currently, he's here. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I log in and I'm in Colorado every day. It's just the time change sometimes throws me off a little bit when I'm talking to people, but they gave me my desk phone from the office and that literally just plugs right into my router and nobody knows that I'm not in Colorado. Like they just dial my Colorado office number and it comes right to me. It's pretty cool technology.
Yeah. I think everybody really, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people I think are very happy with it. My brother does it and, over the course of time, he feels like he's a little isolated. He'd like to go in, a little bit more than he has been, but.
Yeah, it's great. Like we were out in Colorado for 2 weeks over Thanksgiving and I spent a week in the office. So it was, so it's okay. Yeah, it is a little isolating, and being in Wellfleet, working remotely is a little more isolating than other places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so far, I'm really happy with it. It's been almost a year. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
And
great.
yeah, and I don't think they're going to eliminate my job anytime soon. So
Good.
good. I'm employed. Hi, Tom.
Tom,
Howdy. Sorry about the screwball emails. I just didn't see the right time, I guess. I'm out here on the West Coast and it's raining and cold and wet.
Oh.
it's in the 70s and the sun is shining here, Tom. You should come back.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So maybe I'll just start. Lynn, oh, here's Lynn. Okay. Okay. So a couple of introductions. Liz, I know, and Tom knows, she was on the Open Space Committee sometime in the past and has agreed to rejoin. So it's great to have her here. I don't know. And the other person, and maybe then we can all introduce ourselves, is GB Brigham. And is he, can I get him in?
He's here.
Yep, he's
Yeah,
there.
I know he's on the, how do I,
We can see him. At least I
Okay.
can see him.
okay. I gotta figure out how to do this, so I'm, got everybody. Oh, there you go, all right.
But we
Um,
can't see Lynn.
Okay,
I'm having camera troubles and I've just.
Okay.
okay. And Mr. Brigham, I guess you're on the Climate Committee?
Yes, I'm on the Wellfleet Energy and Climate Action Committee. And the reason I'm here is we, at a recent meeting, we decided it would be helpful to assign members of the committee, various members of the committee, to other committees in Wellfleet as a liaison to learn more about what those committees are doing and do whatever we can to try to delineate what the Energy and Climate Action Committee is focused on.
Great. Yeah, we're working in a 5-year plan, and I think very much using or will be looking at the climate change and that sort of thing as part of what we're doing. Okay, so why don't we start the meeting? Well, people want to introduce themselves, or should we just move on?
Sure, we should go around.
Yeah, go around.
Oh, didn't? Okay, hi, I'm Peggy Sagan. I'm secretary of the committee, Liz, and I was very glad that GB reached out to me, and because we know each other socially and we're neighbors, we used to be by neighbors. We were both in Newton, and they have a house here in Wellfleet now, so we've known each other in both places. And I told him that, especially with our working on to update the 5-year plan, it's a great time to have some representation here from the
Right.
Climate Action Committee.
Absolutely.
And I'm Lynn Saldi, and Liz, we know each other from way
Yep.
back. Good, welcome back again.
Yes, thanks, Lynn.
I'm Fred Streams. Pleased to meet you, Liz.
Tom Slack, I'm former secretary and vice chairman of the Open Space Committee, and good to see Liz back, and welcome, GB.
Thank you.
There's Lynn.
And
Oh, there's Lynn.
yeah,
I'm not here. It's
and
new.
John,
Oh, there you
why
are.
don't you unmute John?
Right.
Come on.
How do I get everybody into the screen?
I mean, need gallery view,
Yeah,
Where is it? Gallery?
Gallery.
should be in the upper
top.
right.
Looks like a checkerboard, at least
Yeah.
on mine.
Are you on a laptop?
The view on the right-hand corner, top.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Okay, JB, my name is John Grebe, and for a moment, I thought I was not the newest member of the committee, but Liz is here for a second time. So I started a couple of months ago.
And I'm Denny O'Connell. I'm the public gallery in this event. I'm with the Wellfleet Conservation Trust, and we do a lot of things together, and it's just nice to know what the Open Space Committee is up to and try to help out if we can.
And I'm Liz McDonald. I'm back on the Open Space Committee after Bruce mentioned that there was a spot left. I had originally gone off the committee because my husband and I had moved to Colorado, and we're back, but now we're going to be back and forth. So hopefully with this brave new world, and if Zoom meetings still remain a thing, this will make having this meeting very easy for everybody. And I wanted to thank all of you for delaying the time to 4:30 for me, so I have enough time to get out of work and change computers.
Liz,
are you
Still with
sworn
the
in?
alpacas?
I'm sorry.
Are you still with the alpacas?
They're safely penned on the other side of the barn now. There's a barn there. There's a barn. It's not a tent.
Liz McDonald has a farm?
Now we're the McDonald's, like the restaurant, not the Max, like the farm.
Oh, okay,
Farmer.
okay.
That's how we actually introduce ourselves. It's like the restaurant, not the farmer. Our neighbors have a farm.
Liz, are you
All right, well, why
officially
don't-
sworn
why
in?
don't- oh, sorry.
I am officially sworn in. Yep, I was at the town clerk swore me in last Tuesday. Yep, so I'm all official. I've done all my training and all of that.
Okay, so let's start the meeting at 4:38.
Bruce,
Well, I guess, well, whatever.
Unmuted.
Welcome and
4:38.
introductions, we've done
Oh,
that.
can you hear me?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to tell you, I'm afraid I have to leave early, about 5:15.
Okay, so I may switch the agenda around when it's appropriate, Lynn, to see whether, because there are a couple of votes at the end that we want to take.
Okay.
The first thing I wanted to do was to say that we have a period of public comment and a hearing on our two properties that we're looking to get into town meeting. I'll read those. Ryan Curley appropriately reminded me that actually with these articles that we're looking to get into town meeting, we need to notify the public. And so I called Jeannie McLaughlin, that I assume has been done. She said she'd do it. And so I'm just going to read the articles. There's nobody outside of the committee who's here. We'll just take another.
I'm the public.
Oh, you're the public. David. Okay. Let us know
Would
what you think.
Would GB like to be a member of the public as well?
Sure.
Whatever works best.
Sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna, for formalities, read this again, and we've already taken a vote. I don't think we need to do that, and if there are no comments, we'll close it. But it's the open space article for the 2021 town meeting, or to now 2022 town meeting, to see if the town will vote to transfer care, custody, management, and control of 2 lots of town-owned land indicated below from Select Board to the Conservation Commission for purposes of open space conservation, or to do or act anything thereon. And the parcels are map 30, parcel 186, which is a 2.06 acre wetlands marsh property in Blackfish Creek, abutting conservation lands owned by the Wellfleet Conservation Trust and Mass Audubon. And map 42-137 is a 3.26 acres of wetlands marsh that abuts the town on Bayberry Hill Conservation Land and trail property off Lieutenant Island Road. Any comments on the transfer of those properties?
Bruce, I just say they seem very appropriate to go into care and custody of the conscom. So
Thanks, Danny. Okay, moving on. And just to say this, as an aside with this article, we have referred this to the planning board because the reason this was tabled is because the planning board hadn't seen the article. Unfortunately, with the problems and communication, et cetera, through the town hall, even though we'd gone to the select board and they had agreed to send it forward, that did not happen. So I sent Jerry a copy, and I have, before this meeting, asked him to make sure that he had the copy and that we were scheduling the meeting to move forward. So hopefully that's all going on. It's been a little chaotic over there, I think. Okay, first of all, with the agenda, people.
Bruce, technically, you're supposed to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. The public meeting is closed.
You just did.
So corrections to the agenda or corrections to the agenda?
I have one. Understanding assignments, my committee is now, or my assignment is now going to be referred to as public outreach as opposed to education, because we're expanding that role.
Right.
My empire.
Right. Any others? Okay. Move to adopt.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
We adopt the agenda.
Second.
Okay, vote. Any opposed? Okay.
Can I vote on that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure when I could start on that, but
That's my understanding is that,
Okay.
Certainly in the agenda and even on the meetings, I think you're allowed to.
That's why I asked her if she'd been sworn in.
Yeah. Okay. And I hope people have had a chance to review the minutes from October. Any questions, additions, problems with the minutes? Okay, again, a move to accept.
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, passes. I think I'm gonna pass on my report. We'll get to it as we go down. Tom, anything from vice chair you have to?
Nothing to add.
So standing assignments first, property management. Fred, how are things going?
Things are going well. I appreciate all the help I've had. John, Peggy, Bruce have pitched in, and I think we're getting down to just a handful of properties left, isolated ones here and there. So it's going well.
So a couple of things I just wanted to mention with this that I think makes sense. One of the problems that particularly Fred and I have been doing this, have noticed, is that we're very conscientious about doing the work, but that the communication, I think, with the health department sometimes breaks down. So Hillary has do you know whether she started any yet or not? The assistant.
I don't know if she has officially started, but everybody knows her name, and she is an AmeriCorps graduate.
Oh, good.
She understands the game. In fact, she was the coordinator for all of the members a couple of years ago.
Because there was a request that everybody meet her, and so we can invite her to one of the meetings, that sort of thing. But I also think it makes sense for at least those of us who are working on the property management to sit down and see whether we can become clearer about how the property management recommendations are followed through. Because some of them clearly haven't. We've made our recommendations and they've sort of been dropped. The two other things I wanted to bring up. One is that there are some properties where there are just consistently year after year problems. People are dumping, that Payne Hollow is just, I should have taken a picture and put it up of the plastics and particularly beer cans and alcohol, et cetera. But is there any way we can kind of work at that on an ongoing basis since it's a chronic problem? The other thing is that there are in some of the lots, there are a lot of invasives. And I don't know what the process would be to get the okay to get rid of some of those invasives, but if it's reasonable to do, I'm sure we could get a committee together, get a group of us to get rid of the bittersweet and et cetera that are taking over some of the areas. Two of the properties out towards Route 6, and I'm not saying I don't think it's going to be hard to get in there, but our advertisements, as far as I'm concerned, is what against conservation, because they are just briars and have been taken over entirely. I mean, it's tough to, it's not so critical there because it's not used by people. It's at the very tip of that long strip of land. And but some of the other properties, I think, you know, in the Payne Hollow properties, as an example, I think it'd be really great if we could start working on the briars and stuff. Any thoughts or comments? And
It has to be ongoing, Bruce, or it's like whack-a-mole.
no,
Yeah.
I know, we know from the national park, but okay, the trail guides.
Bruce, sorry, back on your
Yeah.
invasive control.
Yeah.
You better be careful and not get into the area of jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. Invariably, you will be if you're in wetlands, and so you need to get their approval.
Oh, yeah, no, this is
Whatever you want to do.
absolutely. No, that would be a given. And but
Okay.
even
Fine.
whether they, you know, whether it's something we want to get into is, I guess, a question. Trail guides, Lynn? You're muted.
Sorry. We have, Jenny and I have worked as a team to have the Box Turtle guide and the Drummer Cove guide reprinted. They've finally been printed. I've updated the folders that we have in the library, and that's about the only place we have them right now. In the new year, it'd be good to get some of us together and do a lot of assembly of folders. So I think that's it. And Denny, you're happy with that file? He's the PDF.
Yeah, that'll be fine. We're going to try to put it on our website. Only other comment is, although it's not been advertised at all, I believe that technically town hall is open. So if you have a supply there, you might want to put a few into town hall.
Okay.
It's pretty desolate when you go in there. So
Yeah, it's all open. I didn't have any problem going in and out.
And the Herring River maps, are those ready?
they're not in town hall. There's a supply in the library, and I'll go in and check the folders that Lynn's done, and I'll put some in there. In whatever folders don't have them.
I'm trying to, I might have put some in there, Denny. I'm trying to remember. But
All right.
I think probably most of us have walked that trail, but just to comment, it absolutely gorgeous
yes,
trail. I think it's just a wonderful addition to the.
I just wanted to show what a trail guide folder looks like, because I'm not sure everyone here is aware of them. And inside are the guides in pockets and so on. So they are in the library.
Thanks, Lynn. Okay, public outreach, Becky?
Yes, this time I have something to report, happily. I think at our last meeting, I mentioned that Bob Jackson had introduced me via email to Mary Beth Rodman at the elementary school. And she had suggested that we meet via Zoom once school was underway and the wrinkles were worked out of scheduling, et cetera. And of course, that took a little longer this year, thanks to COVID. So we spoke toward the end of November and had a very productive meeting. So again, it was Bob Jackson, Mary Beth Rodman, and myself. And she has familiarized the teachers at grades 3, 4, and 5 with our partnership. And this year there are some new teachers. The grade 4 teacher is returning, but there are 2 new teachers at grade 3 and 1 at grade 5. And based on what Mary Beth told them, they are very eager to continue collaborating with OSC. When we met in November, Mary Beth said that we could schedule outdoor field trips, but that we would be relying on virtual lessons for any of the classroom type instruction. Of course, the field trip, that may be up in the air depending on what the outcome of Omicron is. She also suggested that we contact the teachers right after the first of the year, once the holidays are behind them, and begin to do some planning and find out what their interests, what their goals would be for this coming year. We have tentative dates for what would be a good time. So we're looking at April and May, and that would be during the MCAS administration period when they have Fridays off, and she likes Fridays to be a day that's a real break from the testing. And so she thinks anything to do with nature, getting outdoors, finding out about the world around them will be a really exciting and useful break for the students. And just to reiterate her goals that she shared with us and also the teachers is that through our partnership, she wants to raise students and their families' awareness of what is around us, including the history, the land, and the nature of Wellfleet.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to it. I think this sounds like a lot of enthusiasm, and especially with the new group of teachers, we might get some new ideas. And Bob has agreed to continue in a consulting role, so I am appreciating that.
Great. Yeah, and it sounds like that timing is perfect, with the Fridays and, okay. The liaison, the Conservation Trust, unfortunately, I missed the meeting, but there are 2 things that I did want to bring up. Tomorrow is your annual meeting, right, Danny, at 5 o'clock? So just so
That's right.
you know.
Yep. And you'll need the Zoom connections to get on. We didn't publish the Zoom connections to the public. If somebody has sent me a note, I've sent them back what the connections are.
Okay, so do you want to send that to the committee, or I think I can send it out. I think we have it.
You have the
Right.
information.
Okay.
And I hope that it's a relatively short meeting. It's something we have to do. We believe, I won't say 100% that we have to do it. Last year, we did not have to have an annual meeting because the governor overrode the regulations on that. It's unclear, but we're just going to go ahead and do it. The real business that we have to do is to elect some trustees. And then I'll give a very short overview of what's been going on in terms of new properties and that sort of stuff. And then we'll have a video of the Herring River overlook. So.
Oh, great. Okay, and the other thing that I wanted to mention is Denny sent out, hopefully everybody got it, but the ad that's going into the Chamber of Commerce yearly booklet. And I think it's a wonderful idea, and to jump ahead a little, but as we're looking at the 5-year plan and at the survey that was done some years ago, one of the things that we didn't do as strongly on as we might is communication. And I think that's a great way to put it all out there. So
that map that's in that advertisement is the one that should be in the folder.
yeah. Anything else, Danny, with Conservation Trust?
Well, we got a new property on the 1st of December, which is a parcel just north of the Gestalt Center, right on Route 6, between Route 6 and the bike trail. It was a donation from Carol Maganaw, and it's a nice property. There's a very seasonal. Seasonally, it looks pretty. A mud pond down on Route 6. But it's a nice parcel in there.
That's great. I think you'd been working on that for some time, Denny, am I right?
No, it actually was a quickie.
Oh, it must be a different one then, near there.
There are
Huh.
others
Yeah.
that we'd like to get a hold of sometime, but
Huh.
this was one of those situations where, Liz, you'll appreciate this. This was all transacted at the transfer station one day. Carol hollered at me, and it was raining, and so we then followed up. But so it's all done. It's recorded, and we'll have some information about it.
All the important deals happen there.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm learning.
Yeah.
And Denny, what's the approximate size of that property?
1.4 acres, 1.38 acres.
Huh. Nice.
Okay. Friends of the Herring River, anything?
Well, after the first of the year, the Conservation Commission hearing of notice of intent for the towns of Wellfleet and Truro will take place. And what's exciting about that is that this is the last permit needed for the project to move forward. And construction of the bridge is expected to begin towards the end of 2022. So things are moving.
Yeah. Been a long process, but that's terrific.
Right.
Okay, the housing partnership, anything, John?
Yeah, they met on December 2nd and they're meeting again on Thursday. One of the things they're working on is goals and objectives and looking at their mission statement and things of that nature. So that's going to be the focus on Thursday. I think we know that the award for 95 Lawrence has been made to the preservation of affordable housing and community development. And they're working out the details on that. And the committee is also working on pulling together a new website for them, and a lot of energy is going into that.
Now, the other thing, perhaps we can do that here, is that we got a note from Gary that they were looking at a suggestion of using 80% of the rental income, the short-term rental income for housing. I'm not sure that's a formal amendment. I tried to get a hold of Gary and wasn't able to, but.
It felt more like a discussion, but I may have missed something.
Okay. Well, we can probably do this as if, because of the open meeting laws, we wanted to talk about that here. But again, if the proposal is made into a formal amendment, what it will say is that 80% of short-term rental housing income will go into the housing authority.
Okay.
So why don't we can take a vote on that, and if it becomes an amendment, we'll just in case we miss some of the winter times, we'll do it. Okay. Any questions or any discussion we want around this?
I think it's a great idea.
I think so too. I would love us to go down as supporting that.
Yeah, I think too. I think one of the comments is that a lot of the problems are that the short-term rentals take away from allowing for long-term housing.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Okay.
Was that unanimous?
Okay, so unanimous. The CPC, Fred?
CPC has 8 applications this year. requesting over $1 million in total. Our annual revenue is estimated at $739,000. And after you deduct required reserve funding and the funds for CPC operations, we have less than just something under 500,000 to deal with. We met the last week on Thursday and spent 2 hours listening to presentations from the various applicants. And we are going to meet Thursday at 7 p.m. That's the only time everybody could get together before the holidays. And hopefully we'll do some voting. I don't know whether I need to go into the details of any of the applications, but they cover a range of things. You've heard about the school playground committee. That's one. Maybe you've heard about Lily House. That's another. And there's some from historical and the rest are from housing. So it's a lot of money with that we're not going to be able to cover.
Fred, anything to do with Pond Hill School? The Pond Hill School, has that come up at all?
The what?
Pond Hill School.
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
No. Pond Hill, okay, no.
NRIB, Tom?
We were asked by the Shellfish Advisory Committee to give input to their determination of what they were going to do with the How Do You Like Them Apples property. And basically our input was to try to preserve the beaches and the access points as much as possible, and to keep in mind the issue of climate change and sea level rise as it relates to that property. And I think basically not much is going to change. There was some discussion of whether they should increase the number of grants. Probably not. There was concern from boaters about adding more obstruction, especially to sailboats out there. And I think they're thinking about moving some of that in maybe a little bit, the deep water ones. So as I understand from reading the Cape Cod Times this morning, that apparently they have decided not to do a whole lot other than keep things as they are. So anyway, that's that. We had some discussion with the APCC about our project of looking at the Wellfleet ponds, the quality of the water, the potential risks as time goes by. And they have they've done some work. There's been a lot of work done with the seashore, and we're basically, to make it short, we're setting up a bunch of criteria and things and trying to work out the levels of responsibility and who holds the reins in terms of seashore, town of Wellfleet, property owners, abutters, and so forth. And it's starting to shape up. One of the biggest issues is the nitrogen and phosphorus content and how you deal with that. So, some of the septic systems, even the most modern ones, don't deal so well with phosphorus. So that's another issue that's being looked at. So anyway, that's kind of where we are on that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of even cesspools of
Oh, yes,
some of those.
absolutely.
That
Yeah.
would be, hopefully some of that will change. But, Steve Smith, I'm sure you know, and what's her name, Sharon Fox, or Ms. Fox, anyway, Dr. Fox.
Sylvia.
Got a whole bunch of
Yeah.
studies in those ponds. So.
Right. I mean, the overall opinion of the seashore are the ponds are in pretty good shape, you know, compared to some of the other ones in the Cape. But,
Right.
you know, we haven't had a huge issue with green algae and all that, but, you know, we're still waiting for that to happen, I guess.
Well, one time over at Gull Pond, they had
Right.
doing some
Yeah.
studies, digging down into they had to close it down for a little bit, but not very much.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one question for Tom. Tom, you mentioned that there have been discussions with, I think you said ABCC.
Oh, the Association to Preserve Cape Cod. And the
Okay,
point person there
PC.
is,
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, P, not B.
Okay, thank you.
okay.
The ABCC is the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission.
Okay, that's the one I'm familiar with.
A different entity.
We had some discussions with them.
Not
too.
the same. Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Next, and maybe just so I think everybody knows, we have a subcommittee working on the 5-year plan, and which I think is just gone, you know, just gone wonderfully from my perspective. But is there anybody? So that's Peggy, Fred, John, and I, and anybody want to bring up some issues? Did you want to bring up the letter that either Fred or Peggy that we'd written to the town? And take a look at that, but just to let the committee know what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that was really a key, and Fred took the lead on this. We realized that we're beginning to do some outreach to other committees, to people in town that will be sources of input for our plan. This is an update of a plan that expired before it was approved. So it was 2014. And so we think a lot of the information in the plan is up to date. What we're doing is trying to identify what are the areas that we need to address that have changed since 2014. So we're tentatively identifying those areas and what we think some of the impacts would be on the plan. But we know we then need to get some input from other people within the community, both boards, committees, and the actual residents, people who live here. So we thought we should first begin by informing the select board that we have begun this process. And so Fred has drafted a letter for us to send to them. And then I think we will feel more comfortable reaching out. We kind of didn't want them to hear about it, you know, after the fact, that this was something that we were beginning to work on. And we have made some great progress, I think, in terms of getting our thoughts, our preliminary thoughts pulled together. Our next task, there is a survey that was administered back in 2014. And our next step is to kind of look at that and see, again, what are some of the questions we need to revise or add or delete because they're no longer relevant, given just changes to the town in the last 6 years. And one of our questions to the select board was, how can we get this survey out? Once it's ready, how can we get it out to members of the community? Anybody else want to add anything?
I'll just add that one of the requirements of the plan is that you show that you have reached out and gotten input from the committee or the community.
Mhm.
So it's not just because we want the input, we need it.
Mhm.
Anything else, John?
No.
No. So do you want to?
Denny?
I mean,
I
there
think
are-
Denny has a comment.
Okay.
Just a curiosity, are you going to be using Jeff Thibodeau, or is that decided that you're going to do this on your own?
So the problem is that, you know, it would have been wonderful to take place, but basically that land grant where we could get the 12,500 to give to him, we have to have a land project to get the grant. I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing. I know Mark didn't believe us, but looked into it, and it definitely is the case. This is kind of a way to allow the towns to, so the bottom line is, it's not going to work. And we looked for just using our 1,500, which is our money, to pay him, to do the initial grant, to write it. And the town wouldn't even agree to that. Rebecca Slick said that she thought that was something that the committee could handle. We could handle ourselves. So I did talk with Jeff, and I explained to him what the situation was. And we apologize. We've been going back and forth on this, but it just isn't going to happen in the near future, at least. And
I just wanted to know what to say if he ever asked me, because I do see him once in a while.
no, we've had the discussion, and it's too bad, because I think he's really somebody who could help us with it. But the town financial situation, as everybody knows, is at least up in the air. It's questioned, and so they're not enthusiastic about supporting it. Now, do you want to read the letter that, Fred wrote a letter and then Peggy made a proposal? Should that go to the general committee, or you guys want to work on it within the subcommittee first, or how do you want to do this?
Well,
Would-
mine's a short version, but it wouldn't take
And mine's a
long
long
to read
one.
it.
The reason
I'm
I ask
wondering
is if we want to get this on the town committee this year, which is the goal, as I'm hearing it, of the subcommittee, this has to go out fairly soon, or it's just not gonna, everything works in slow motion in terms of moving this stuff. So, we can, if we're not ready, we can take it as it comes. But if it is something we'd like to get to the town meeting, see whether the select board will approve our, putting this out in the town meeting. And I think it's something that we should decide on pretty soon.
And you're,
Bruce, are you suggesting that you're going to do this at town meeting?
Well, what the last one that was done, they was given to, the surveys were given out at town meeting. And so what we're doing is just asking whether essentially the Board of Selectmen thinks that would be appropriate. And if they don't, what other ideas do they have in terms of, bringing this to the town? It's, even going to the town meeting gives a selection bias, but the reality of it is that I think it's hard to get around that selection bias. In other words, the people who don't want to take part in this, it's hard to get to them. But anyway.
But will you put it on the town website in some fashion?
that would be our hope.
Yeah.
We need to talk with I presume the select board to find out. That was the question, is can we distribute it at town meeting? Is it possible to post it on the website? And then other suggestions they may have for
Well, posting it on the
widespread.
website. Posting it on the website gives you a good link
Right.
so that people can go to SurveyMonkey or whoever.
Well, it would, be a lot easier to analyze the results if it's completed online as opposed to on paper, the old paper pencil way.
I thought it was, we had a link for it last time
We did.
because
There was-
that was still in the, it's coming back to my brain. And
Yes.
I thought that was, and it was like a Google form or something, which aggregated all the results.
Yeah, it was SurveyMonkey that they
Okay.
used, and it was Brian Carlson
Yep,
who
okay.
had posted it, and no one in town hall can find it. So we do have a paper version, and I can recreate the
I actually
survey,
do have
build
it
it
too,
through.
but thank you for sending it
Yeah.
out, Denny, with the, so we have a copy of it. And
Well,
it's actually really, I think there's a lot of really nice things about the survey, and
Yeah,
most of what is in there is intuitive. The kind of things that we're looking at right now, they supported back then, particularly climate change, GB, with
Mhm.
changes in protecting areas close to marshes, et cetera. So.
And
Okay.
could you clarify, Bruce, when you say at town meeting, you're talking the whatever happened to this December town meeting? It couldn't happen because of the financial situation?
That's my understanding.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're now talking about the regular schedule.
Right. It wouldn't happen before then anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's, if we could do it then, it will be doing well.
So typically summer, we're talking, okay,
Right.
okay.
Or April, whenever they're gonna have it. You know, if we're meeting outside, it may be June.
Yeah.
again.
Okay. And Liz, definitely, we would want to try to get it posted on the website. I think that would, as Denny said, certainly easier to collect and analyze the data.
Mhm.
And potentially we could send the link to, the chair of every committee in town and ask them to make their committees aware of it and, ask for as many people as possible to complete. And we write our friends, solicit their input. One thing I would really like to try to do, and maybe it's by the more informal distribution of the survey, it would be wonderful to get, if we could, I don't know how you can get short time, day trippers and short-term renters, or seasonal people who aren't here, but it would be wonderful to have their input, because I imagine, I'm biasing the survey, I imagine that that they value the open space. That could be a reason that they like to come to Wellfleet for vacation in the summer or the shoulder seasons. And it would be nice to have some support.
For the parking task force, we tried to survey everybody. And we surveyed them in groups, if you will. All the property tax people. We tried to survey the beach sticker people, and also the day trippers. And it was hard to get much response from the day trippers.
Okay. And you were out actually canvassing? You were standing on the pier with the clipboard?
Well, we didn't do that, but we did stand in the beach sticker office and try to hand out the surveys and try to get them to log on to the Survey Monkey site.
Okay.
We got very good response from the users of what we were proposing. We got the merchants, we had them as one class. We had all of the people with slips and stuff from the marina. And then we had general public. So, and basically the people who are paying property taxes are the only ones who really chimed in. So.
Okay. Okay. And the committee was, what was the committee, Denny? It was the parking
task force.
Task force. Okay. Thank you.
And we probably analyzed 2,500 survey responses.
Wow.
And let me tell you, you don't want to let people put it in on paper, because
No.
then you got to enter all that onto
Yeah.
the website.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
We
something
did
to
it,
think
but
about.
it was a killer. And the other thing you don't want to do is to give open-ended questions.
Correct.
A lot of this I thought was pretty good. The last one was put out, but we can talk. So we may be
We didn't have
premature
any.
then for this letter, because
Well, I think that at least the subcommittee needs to resolve.
right.
And then
Yeah.
I think if we could send it out so that, can we have people then respond, or do we need an open meeting to get the response from the rest of the committee?
Oh, good.
It would be nice if you had a track that came through an open meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that to send it out, though, my own feeling, it's just to send it out is appropriate, then we can discuss it.
And to discuss it. Okay.
Here, and so people have it ahead of time. Essentially, we're
Okay.
just, okay.
So how about if the four of us on the committee will get
Okay.
some resolution on it, and then we can distribute it to the
Okay.
committee
Okay.
to discuss at our next.
Now, the next one is consider rotating chairmanship, but at this point, if somebody would just cover, even if they're not willing, for me while I'm gone for a few months, I'm happy to sign in and come in on Zoom, but I have a desktop computer. I don't even bring my files with me. So it's just not a practical thing. And, the bunch of us are going to be gone. And Tom, Fred, we're got a whole bunch of the committee that is gone for a good part of the winter. The advantage to Zoom is that, you know, we can at least meet once or twice and, you know, see what's going on. I also think that with town meeting coming up, like I say, I wrote to Jerry again to make sure they had but it's amazing what should be a simple process with these marsh properties is just been, you know, crazy. I mean, it really, it takes way more so to meet at least once or twice and just say, where is that? And has planning board done it, et cetera, it just makes sense. So is anybody willing to cover for February and March?
I'll be in Arizona.
And
You know, people are going to warm places. I'll be in Colorado for part of that.
And we are waiting to find out when Mike's surgery is scheduled for, but it's likely unless hospitals are not doing surgery, end of January, early February, and that's going to be at least several weeks of.
I'll do the best
wouldn't
I can if I'm the only one who's going to be in the East Coast.
So are you willing to do it, Len?
I need some guidance.
Oh, sure. Okay, and just like I say, just to have a meeting or two, I think that most of this stuff, the subcommittee's working on, we can do, and is just, you know, we'd have a real simple proposal that should be moving through. And it's just, from my perspective, the system is broken right now. And so it just we need to be watching to make sure that that's actually happening.
Well, before you disappear, you know, let's, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be away until mid-January.
Okay.
So
But you-
Lynn,
When are
I'll
you
be one of the
leaving?
few people hanging out here for the winter.
Mhm.
And I don't know enough about how things work in Wellfleet, but I'm quite willing to provide support to
Great.
you for doing whatever scut work needs to get done.
Okay.
But that'll allow me to get a better handle on how stuff works.
Team.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you
Bruce is
very
there.
much.
Or it doesn't work.
Or it doesn't work.
We'll
All
work
right.
with
Much does
Thank
it
you
well.
very much. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Just to comment on a couple of things, the titles on properties, we've not started work on that yet.
Yes, I have to go. I'm really sorry.
Thank you,
Okay, bye, Lynn.
Madam Chair.
Bye, Lynn.
Bye, Lynn.
Bye-bye, Lynn. So the titles on properties, I've left that there just because we have to do it. And it sounds like Mark is not going to be involved any. We have to go through, okay. So we'll go through Rebecca Slick, I assume, and see what she has to, whether she can help us with it. Okay, the CPC needs a list we did. Access issues, the access committee is moving on their own, and it's up, Brian, it sounds like they're interested in that, the agri property, but it may be something that they want to do themselves even. Okay. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, the articles we talked about, is that other properties for consideration are map 400 and 505 and map 29, map 29, and map 36, 288 and 289. One of the things I thought we could do with those, because we keep bringing them up, but there are probably a number of people in the committee who have never been to those properties. And I think to do a site visit of the properties makes sense. Do you think we can get to those Bond Street properties, Denny? Do you have to go over private property or?
No, there are some paper roads out there that you can
Okay.
use.
All right. You know, this is something I don't, those properties, the Conservation Trust has one of the properties now is picking up the other one in 2023. So my own feeling is it doesn't make sense to bring it to town meeting until Conservation Trust has the other properties. Then
Yeah.
we can present it and say, listen, we have, in terms of contiguous land, we have 2 properties already. There are 2 others. But at some point, it makes sense to have everybody go out there and at least know what the properties look like and what we're talking about. The other one is the Payne Hollow properties. And initially, I really felt like these are 2 properties. There's Conservation Trust land again, and a lot of open space there that go all along as you're heading out towards Pleasant Point. On the left-hand side, that whole area is all protected, and there's a pond back there. The only issue, anyway, so it's good for people just to get, again, a picture of what the land is. The 400, unfortunately, has a road that goes in. The cars use it, and they've used it for skating and that sort of thing. There are 2 boats. I looked at Fred's evaluation of the property last year, and 2 boats, and one of them is half sunk, are still there. I don't
Awesome.
know if Conscom would get involved with that. It's not Conscom property, but it's a real mess, some of the properties over there. But 505, at least, certainly we could debate whether 400 should be in conservation, just because the issues around access. This is not a shellfishing access area, though. But it certainly has been used by cars, and so anyway.
It's been used for skating. It's a
Yeah.
wintertime thing where people would go up and set up hockey nets and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Frozen ponds may not be a big issue, but
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Point
Yeah.
well taken. It's just
but the other thing, Bruce, on those parcels, you'll definitely want to look at the current assessor's maps, because your books are out of date on those.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. The 505 is a new property, and I'm not even sure that the legal, with COVID, that the town legal stuff has been gone through yet or not. Do you know, Danny?
I don't know for sure, but I don't have a great deal of confidence in
Yeah.
somebody other than Slades doing the work now. It's a different world.
But anyway, I think to set up a time, maybe, unfortunately, I think with everybody's schedule, maybe, well,
There's no rush.
no rush. Good point. Okay. So did the house. So the only other thing, just to bring up again, and I'm not sure how far to push it, but again, Ryan Curley asked us to become involved with an evaluation of town property, inspection of town property. He had a set of criteria. I'm not sure we have to follow those, but there was, as I was hearing it, some interest on the part of the committee to doing that. I think it really, on a one-time basis at least, I think it really might be a good thing to both look for open space properties, or are there lands that might be appropriate for housing. I think we've looked at a lot of that along the way, but to take another look, that's why one of the reasons the committee was formed to begin with. And it's going to take some negotiation with Ryan, I think, to make sure we have our I's dotted and T's crossed here before taking it on. Any further thoughts about that? Do people think this is a possibility, or?
Well, we talked about doing it, but not wanting to take it on as a permanent assignment, I think. I mean,
Right.
maybe looking at trying to get an overall feeling for what's out there. And as you say, maybe identifying some things that we didn't know about that we might want to look at to put into conservation. But it's a big job, I think, isn't it, Bruce? I mean, there's a lot of territory out there.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to?
And what he wanted was, his point was to look for trash, things like that, abuse of property. Wasn't so much what we're more interested in what the potential for the property is rather than.
Right. But what I would say is this, it could be a win-win. In other words, if Ryan's looking for something, I think it makes sense to do that. I mean, we go around and look at the properties. Are they being abused in some ways? What's going on? At the same time, we could on at least a one-time basis do that, but we could also take a look at the use of the properties. Are there some hidden gems out there that we've have missed? And also, is there anything that housing might be able to use? So I think I don't think those are inconsistent.
That's what I was doing, and I did quite a few, and that's how we got into those properties over on Indian Neck, which select board did not like.
Is there a comprehensive list of those town-owned properties, the town-owned open
There are.
space?
He brought up, and I forget the guy's name, but the
Horsley.
reality is you can just go into the town assessor's database, and Nancy Dale has. We can get it from the computer, but Nancy has all those, and they're pretty accurate. We've gone, at least in the past, Benny and I have gone over, and once in a while you'll find a mistake or something, but it's really quite accurate at this point.
So, I mean, my question is, how many properties are we talking about? And I mean, I know Ryan said that, and here would be my list of priorities.
Right.
And I think, I think when we discussed it at the last meeting, we said, well, maybe our priorities should supersede in that. I think that's what Fred was just mentioning in terms of, is it open space? Is our job to look, or I'm sorry, whoever said it, is our job to look for trash, or is our job to identify potential uses of property that would be consistent with our goals and our criteria? So I think before we could make a decision, we need to know exactly how many properties there are, and then what criteria we would use for kind of attacking that. Because we had, 83, 85, Fred, of Conscom's properties.
That's right. So
And
at least double that for ones that are, and that ranges from things that are as small as 1,000 square feet to 10 acres.
Right. Right.
Or more. The airstrip, the old so-called airstrip out in the seashore is a very large piece of property, which I guess sits there.
Right. Yeah, and I do hear what you're saying, Peggy, but I think that the two things, Ryan has his agenda that's a reasonable one, but I think the two of these can go together without a big problem. If we're going to be inspecting the properties anyway and taking a look, if there are some obvious people moving into town property and that sort of thing, those are things we would notify the Board of Selectmen. Obviously, most of these are properties that are not in Conscom care, so we would notify them. But I don't think it's unreasonable to do that if we take the project on.
I think the trickiest thing you're gonna encounter is encroachment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And sometimes even with
And you can do that from a desktop.
Yeah, that's true. Probably maybe better than taking a look. I like to go out and check the properties too, but I think Denny's point's well taken that many times, the going on Oliver and taking a look at the property lines and that sort of thing, you can see that property over by the Audubon. You can see that he has taken over a piece of the land more easily than you can if you go out there. Problem with some of those is that there's one that Fred and I were looking at over by Pleasant Point, and they're probably encroaching, but it's real hard to know exactly where the line is. it's what it is. It's a place where they put no trash, but some pieces, some leaves and, branches and that sort of thing. So it doesn't, not 100%, but that by far the easiest way to do it to start. Should we revisit this and move it on for now, or?
Well, I think we need a plan for getting it done.
Okay.
I mean, if we just keep putting off the discussion, and my only concern is we're a small committee. We're spending a lot of time and energy right now on, well, the current inspections, but almost done. I think, thanks to Fred and John in large part, and Bruce and me, a little tiny part. But then with the same four of us are working on 5-year plan.
Right.
So I think that's a lot more to be taking on right now.
I mean, there are a couple things, I hear you, Becky, loud and clear with that. And so there are a couple things we can do. One is we can get those, I can send out those lists if people want to take a look at it and just
That would
say
be
what it
helpful.
looks like.
Yeah, that would be
Or we
good.
can say, we got enough on our plate, let's wait and do this another year. I mean, I guess it makes sense to send the lists out anyway.
I would like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bruce, have you had the discussion with Ryan about what the data set is? Is it going to be coming from Nancy, or is it his stuff that he seems to love?
I agree with you, Danny. If you're going to do it, I don't think the assessor's database is the best, most up-to-date. Why would we use something else?
Well, I'm just thinking of what list are you going to be sending out?
That's the list. I'm sorry. I was going to send out the assessor's data. Good point. The database. I think that's the way to go if we're going to do it.
Yeah, if you could,
I think Ryan Curley had a list of criteria as to like those along a road would be most ones we look at, and he had a list what things were high priority and low priority. So if you took the top priority, how many of them are there, and how do you apply those?
See, the only thing I'd say with that, Fred, is that again, we've got we really are both coming at this from different angles. So Ryan has his agenda, we have our agenda, and I think his list addresses what his agenda is, but it may not address what we're looking at. I'm sure there's common ground there, but so I will send the list out. We'll start there.
Yeah, if we could do that, I think that would be great. And maybe we can figure out how to use Oliver. Because when I've tried, I've not been very successful.
Okay.
Well, I've got some sad news on Oliver. They're going to discontinue that on December 31.
Oh, they're going to replace.
They're going to replace it.
Oh, God.
Well, good thing I didn't spend a lot of time learning how to use it.
Well, they all kind of work the same. But
The new one will have all kinds of problems, and it'll be impossible to learn. And oh God, it's like, why are they doing that then?
I can only guess, but if you go to Oliver right now, you'll see the top banner says, "Say goodbye to Oliver."
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else to bring up?
Tom? Oh.
GB? No.
I just wanted to offer a couple of thoughts. One is if it would be helpful to have somebody from the Climate Action Committee attend a future Open Space Committee meeting to kind of give a synopsis of the things that we're involved with at the present time. I'm probably not the best spokesperson for that, but I think I could find the right person. That if that would be helpful, I'd certainly try to facilitate it. And on the flip side of the coin, if somebody in the Open Space Committee would be interested in coming to a Climate Action Committee meeting some future time to just, talk a little bit more. I mean, I can try to articulate some of these things, but I think it would be much better to have the homegrown expertise come to a Climate Action Committee meeting. I think that would be very helpful as well, and that way we get the two-way communication going much more effectively.
Yeah, I mean, putting you on is easy. We have the liaison reports, and so you're on for next month if you're okay with that. If that works.
Sure.
Okay. And then is there anybody who's interested in working, at least attending a meeting and sort of letting the climate group know what we're doing?
And I, to that point, you mentioned earlier, a number of people are less available in the, some of the upcoming months. If that's something that would be better postponed until, the April-May timeframe, or somewhere, in the vicinity where most people are present, that's, I think that's perfectly satisfactory.
Right. Yeah,
We have the same problem.
Right. Yeah. I'm certainly willing to do it if other people don't want to. I'm, in looking back at the survey from 2014, really what our feeling is, and my strong feeling is that what we should be pushing is, that we need to mitigate against the sea level rise. We need to be working on climate change, and the properties that we're looking for, this is no longer just kind of, let's put a nice piece together and do it. This is really a critically important thing that's going on. And so if there are properties that, abut marshes, et cetera, it's not a matter of, gee, let's do this because of it's important for the climate change mitigation. So I'm a big fan. There's not that many, very frankly, there aren't that many properties that meet that criterion. The ones that are there are ridiculously expensive, but in terms of what we'd be looking at, those are that is something we'd like to do. So I'm happy to do it if nobody else wants to. Does anybody else want to?
I'd be interested. I'm just hesitant right now to take it on as a formal role, but I do believe we're going to want to have some good interaction with the Climate Action Committee as we work on our 5-year plan. And so to be able to get some face time, even if it's virtual, I think would be very helpful. So how often are you meeting, GB? Is it monthly?
We're meeting monthly. I think we're working on third Tuesday of the month. We've been going back and forth between first Tuesday and third Tuesday, but other groups have been consuming the first Tuesday of the month time frame. So I think we're going to be pretty well locked into the third Tuesday, and I believe our next meeting is going to be on the 21st. And what I was thinking, Bruce, would be to have Dick Elkin as the chair of the Climate Action Committee, have him get in touch with you, to work out something that's mutually convenient. Somebody like, probably he would be the best person to speak to this committee and, work out who might be able to reciprocate to the Climate Action Committee.
Sure. And just to say, I don't think this necessarily has to be a monthly kind of a thing, but just to keep, and unless you do, to keep in touch around some of these things, I think is important.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more of a one-time or some longer term periodic update thing as members of committees change and so on. And then the liaison, myself, in this case, would be the person who would bring back the monthly updates to our committee and somebody on your committee and vice versa.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this? I think that certainly for the one time sounds great. I know Dick very well, so if he just wants to give a call, we can figure something out.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Move to adjourn? No?
I'll move.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, have a great Christmas.
Okay. Oh,
You
yes,
too. Thank
okay.
you
And
very
everyone
much.
who's traveling, have safe travels.
Okay, and just a reminder that tomorrow night at 5 is the WCT meeting if people have an opportunity to join in.
Okay.
It's another Zoom meeting.
A Zoom meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
bye-bye.
thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.